Stop for a moment. Take a slow breath. Because this message is not random. You didn't click this by accident. And the person you're thinking about right now, they are not just a memory. They are connected to you on a level that logic cannot explain. The question that never leaves you. You've tried to distract yourself. You've tried to move on. You've told yourself it's over. Yet somehow, they keep returning to your mind. Not loudly, not emotionally dramatic, but quietly, consistently, at the most unexpected moments. And that's when the question appears. Why this person? This is not obsession. Let's be clear. If this were obsession, time would have weakened it. If this were attachment, distance would have broken it. But instead, the connection matured. Silence didn't erase it. Time didn't replace it. Other people didn't feel the same. That's because this is not a surface bond. This is a soul connection. What a soul connection actually is. A soul connection is not romance by default. It's not fantasy. It's not emotional dependency. It's recognition. Something in you recognized something in them. Before words. Before plans. Before expectations. Why it feels unfinished. You may feel like something was left unsaid. Not a conversation, but a knowing. As if the connection paused instead of ended. That unfinished feeling is not about closure. It's about alignment. The reason your energy still reacts. Your body responds before your mind. A name, a song, a familiar pattern, and suddenly your chest tightens. Your thoughts slow down. That reaction is not memory. It's resonance. Why you feel them, even when they are gone. Distance does not weaken soul connections. It removes noise. And in silence, the truth becomes louder. That's why you feel them most when nothing is happening. What makes this connection different? This person doesn't drain you. They don't confuse you constantly. Even when things were unclear, the connection felt real. Grounded, like something ancient trying to remind you of itself. The part of you that recognized them. Not your ego, not your loneliness, not your desire. Your nervous system, your intuition, your inner self that doesn't lie. Why you can't explain it to others? Because language fails here. How do you explain a feeling that existed before logic? How do you describe a pull that doesn't ask for attention? So you stay quiet and carry it alone. The most important truth, pay attention. Not every soul connection is meant to stay forever. Some come to awaken you. Some come to mirror you. Some come to change you, but none of them are accidental. What this video will reveal. In this series, you'll understand why this connection activated you, why it refuses to fade, why meeting them changed you, and what this bond actually means for your future. Not spiritually dramatic, psychologically precise. Before we continue, ask yourself one thing. When you think of this person, does it feel chaotic or calm? Because that answer changes everything. The connection did not begin when you met. This may sound strange, but the moment you met them was not the beginning. It was recognition, like two frequencies tuning into each other after traveling separately for a long time. What a soul contract really means. A soul contract is not destiny. It's an agreement for growth. Two people cross paths to trigger awareness, healing, or transformation. Sometimes through love, sometimes through loss, sometimes through unfinished stories. Why this person activated you. Notice what changed after you met them. You became more aware, more emotional, more honest with yourself. Old wounds surfaced, hidden desires awakened, parts of you that were asleep came alive. That's not coincidence. That's activation. Why the connection came with pain. If the bond feels intense, it's because it touched unhealed parts. Soul connections don't come to comfort. They come to reveal, and revelation is uncomfortable while you felt seen and exposed. This person didn't just look at you, they saw you. And being seen can feel terrifying when you've spent years hiding parts of yourself. That's why you may have pulled back, or they did. The push-pull dynamic explained. One soul awakens faster, the other resists. Not because of lack of care, but because growth threatens the old identity. So, distance happens. Silence happens. Not to punish, but to process. Why you couldn't force it. No amount of effort could stabilize it. Because soul connections are not controlled by will. They respond to readiness, the subconscious bond. Even now, your subconscious reacts to them. Dreams, sudden thoughts, emotional shifts without reason. That's the bond speaking when the conscious mind is quiet. Why other connections feel different. You may have met others since. Good people, kind people. But the depth wasn't the same. Not because others were lacking, but because this bond touched your core. What this connection is teaching you. Not to chase, not to cling, but to become whole. This person reflected what you were missing in yourself. The moment you stop resisting, when you stop asking, when will this make sense? And start asking, what is this shaping me into? The bond loosens. Not because it disappears, but because it has done its work. The hardest truth. Some soul connections are not meant to stay. They are meant to transform you. And transformation doesn't always look like union. The paradox of distance. Most connections weaken when distance appears. This one didn't. It became clearer. Because distance removed distraction and left only truth. What silence actually does. Silence is not absence. It is space. And in space, your subconscious processes what your mind avoided. That's why thoughts of them rise when life gets quiet. Late nights, early mornings, moments of stillness. Why you feel them most when you stop trying. When effort ends, awareness begins. This is why the connection feels strongest when you're not chasing, not forcing, not explaining. The role of time was not meant to erase this bond. It was meant to mature it. Time tests. Attachment versus alignment. Habit versus resonance. Longing versus understanding. What survives time without effort is not accidental. Why your emotional reactions changed. At first, the connection may have felt overwhelming. Now it feels quieter, deeper, less dramatic. That's growth. The bond evolved as you did. Why your body still recognizes them. Your nervous system remembers safety, even if your mind questions everything. That's why you feel calm thinking about them, not anxious. The difference between longing and knowing. Longing asks. Knowing waits. If this connection now feels patient, it's because your soul understands something your mind is still catching up to. Why this person still affects your decisions. Not directly. Subtly. You make different choices now. You tolerate less. You value peace more. That's their influence. What distance is showing you. Not who they are, but who you are becoming. The shift that signals clarity. When you stop asking, will they come back? And start asking, what do I need now? The bond enters its final phase. The question that finally matters. At this stage, the question is no longer, will we end up together? The real question is, what did this connection change inside me? Because soul connections are not measured by outcome. They are measured by impact. The two types of soul connections. There are only two endings. Union after growth. Release after awakening. Both are success. How to know which one this is? Ask yourself honestly, do you feel calmer now or more restless? If you feel calmer, the connection has integrated. If you feel restless, there is still something to understand. Why you may never need closure. Closure is a mind concept. Soul connections complete themselves when the lesson is embodied, not explained. The sign, the contract is complete. You no longer chase. You no longer fear. You no longer replay the past. You feel gratitude, not tension. That's completion. If reunion is meant to happen, it will not feel dramatic. It will feel natural. No confusion, no push-pull, no proving, just alignment. If release is meant to happen, it won't feel like loss. It will feel like expansion, because what they gave you was not themselves but yourself. The final truth: you were never attached to the person. You were attached to who you became because of them. What you carry forward: deeper awareness, higher standards, emotional maturity, inner stillness. That's the gift. Final message, very important. If this message resonated, it's because your soul is already awake. You don't lose soul connections. You absorb them. After awareness, something quiet shifts. Once you understand this connection, something inside you settles. You stop fighting the feeling. You stop questioning yourself. You stop needing constant signs. Because awareness replaces confusion. Why you feel stronger now? You may notice you're less reactive. You don't chase explanations. You trust your inner timing. That's not emotional numbness. That's emotional integration. The connection stops controlling you. Earlier, the bond felt heavy. Now it feels light. Because once a soul connection is understood, it no longer pulls, it supports. Why you no longer fear losing them? Fear only exists when identity is attached. Now you know, nothing real is lost. What was meant to stay already became part of you. The role this person will always play, whether they return or not, their role is complete. They were a mirror, a trigger, a teacher, not a mistake. What this means for future love: here's the most powerful shift. You will never accept shallow connections again. Your nervous system knows depth now. And once you know depth, you cannot unknow it. Why you attract different energy now? People feel your grounded presence. You no longer seek connection, you allow it. And that changes everything. The final realization: the soul doesn't connect to many. When it does, it leaves a permanent upgrade. You are not the same person you were before this connection. And that's the point. Did this connection feel like love or like awakening? Comment, love. There is a stage most people never talk about. After awareness, after acceptance, after detachment, there comes a quiet stage. A stage where you no longer miss them, but you still feel them. This is not longing. This is resonance. Why you feel them without thinking. You don't sit and imagine them. They appear in sudden calm, in unexpected strength, in moments where you feel guided. That's because the bond moved from emotion into your subconscious structure. This is how soul connections evolve. First, they wake you up. Then, they hurt you. Then, they teach you. Then, they leave or change form. And finally, they become part of your inner compass. Why they still think of you, even if they say nothing. Even if life looks busy, you still cross their mind when silence falls. Not with regret, not with control, but with recognition, because soul connections are mutual, even when paths separate. The truth about moving on. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It means you don't need answers anymore. You don't seek validation. You don't replay old conversations. You carry the lesson, not the pain. Why you don't need closure from them? Here is the truth most people never realize. Soul connections close themselves. The moment you stop asking why, closure has already happened. What happens next in your life? From this point forward, you choose peace faster. You recognize emotional availability instantly. You walk away sooner when energy feels wrong. Not because you're cold, because you're aligned. This is how you know the connection was real. It didn't break you. It refined you. It didn't trap you. It freed you. The final psychological shift. You stop romanticizing pain. You stop waiting for signs. You trust your nervous system. That's emotional maturity. That's integration. That's growth.